Welcome everybody, and congratulations to all of you for being selected as one of our pilot sites for the Respite Provider Recruitment and Training Initiative. We are so excited about this effort, and we're really looking forward to working with all of you over the next year and a half approximately. Next slide, please, Lisa. I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but I just really want to thank our partners, the National Academy for State Health Policy and the Administration for Community Living, for helping to support this effort and for allowing us to move forward with this. Wendy and Lori, I want to acknowledge that you're on the call today. If you want to wave to us and so everyone can see who you are, that would be wonderful. Again, NASHB is the lead on this project, and they are the recipients of the Federal Special Lifespan Respite Projects Grant to help us carry out this great work. Next slide, please. And this is the amazing project staff that we're working with. Lisa Schneider, who at the Respite Care Association, who is the project lead for this effort. Val Madsen, the training development and TA coordinator, who's responsible for the development of all the training and managing the Talent MS platform that you're going to hear so much more about. Rachel Watkins Peterson, who is going to be core and key in helping us develop the marketing and recruitment campaign. Kim Whitmore and Tyler Engel, both at Marquette University, who are going to be doing all the hard work of evaluating this pilot field test. Next slide, please. For today, we're going to start off with introductions. Lisa will take over with an overview of the project timeline. You'll learn a little bit more about the actual provider training curriculum. We hope to discuss the recruitment and marketing campaign, and Kim will spend some time on project evaluation. Then we'll learn more about just the logistics of the project, what the expected meeting schedule will be over the next few months. And then throughout and at the end there, we'll leave some time for discussion and any issues that you may want to discuss in more detail toward the end, and then talk about next steps. Next slide. For this point, we do want to at least have the lead person from each state unmute themselves and introduce themselves. For the rest of you, if you wouldn't mind putting your name and state in the chat, that'll be wonderful, so that we have a record those who were able to attend today. So from Arkansas, Sarah Schmidt, are you with us today? And do you want to unmute and just say hello? If you're able to.
She wrote in the chat that her mic does not work.
Okay. Is there anyone else working with you as a lead from the state who just maybe wants to say hello, one person? If not, that's okay. You'll have plenty of opportunity to speak up later on when we get to the discussion section. Tina Urich from the Illinois Respite Coalition.
She also posted in the chat that her mic is not working.
Okay. And then we were fortunate enough to reach out to Rewarding Work, who's going to be helping us pilot this project in both Kansas and Massachusetts, where we also have respite coalitions. Those of you not familiar with Rewarding Work, I'll let one of them unmute themselves and quickly give an update of your organization and just to say hello.
Sure. Hi, I'm Teresa Driscoll with Rewarding Work, and I'm sorry, I just noticed that the name on my screen is not correct. I'm borrowing someone else's computer, but we are very happy to join in and be a pilot site for this project. We're a nonprofit. We've been in operation since 2004, and our model is matching services directories. So we currently operate in Massachusetts, Kansas, and Connecticut. And what we do is we partner, we have a partner in each state that we operate in, and we bring our services to the individuals they work with free of charge, and we maintain an active database of job applicants and a job board. So we've been really successful in recruiting direct care, respite workers, and helping individuals, families, family caregivers who are, self-directing their care, looking for respite care, find and hire. So we're really excited about joining this. Our expertise has been in the recruiting and matching of job applicants with employers. So we're excited to get more involved in the training part of it. And as Jill mentioned, we have worked closely with the respite coalitions in Kansas and Massachusetts.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
For Montana, is Vicki Clear or someone else from the state with us?
I'm here.
You want to just introduce yourself and what agency you're from at this point? We don't.
I'm Vicki Clear. I'm with the Developmental Educational Assistance Program in DEEP. We're a human services agency, and the main part of our voucher program is the lifespan respite, and we are recruiting providers to be on our database for people to find. So we're really excited to learn more about the recruiting and training of respite providers.
Great, wonderful. New Mexico Caregivers Coalition, Adrienne Smith.
Hi, Jill. Hi, everybody. My name is Adrienne Smith. I'm with the New Mexico Caregivers Coalition. We started in 2009. We represent both paid professional caregivers and family caregivers in New Mexico. There are about 62,000 plus in our small state of 2 million paid professionals and 487,000 people working at any time as an unpaid family caregiver. Our perspective is that of workforce development. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Adrienne. Doris Green from New York.
Good afternoon. I'm Doris Green, Director of the New York State Caregiving and Respite Coalition. Sharon Cackett is on the call with me. She is the Assistant Director. We're excited to be on the project. We hope to be able to expand respite opportunities throughout the entire state and have an impact on addressing the workforce shortage in the paid industry.
Thank you, Doris. Yasmin from Nevada. Are you on today?
Hi, I'm Yasmin and I am from Nevada. I'm from Aging and Disability Services Division, and I am working with the Lifespan Respite Grant. I believe Cheryl Donnell is also on this call as well, and she's from the Nevada Care Coalition with me. So we'll be teaming up together to work on recruitment and training and, spreading out the word of the need for respite caregivers.
Thank you very much. And I apologize again for once again mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Ronell from Oklahoma. I think she might be in her car.
Hi, Jill. This is Nadine.
Hi, Nadine.
She's coming back from a health fair that she's been working on all morning. So I'll speak for her. This is Nadine Walter, and I work with Ronell Baker in Oklahoma. We have the Lifespan Respite Grant, and I administer several other ACL grants. But we're excited because in Oklahoma, even though we're a long-standing respite provider, we are finding that more and more our family caregivers don't have anyone to provide the respite. So we've kind of put this off due to liability issues. And so now we're ready to dig in, that we have a good model to look at and to take in and try to figure out how we can make a strong respite provider registry for our caregivers across the state. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you so much, Nadine. Nicholas Julian from South Carolina Respite Coalition.
Hey everyone, yeah, Nicholas Julian with the South Carolina Respite Coalition, and we work on the Lifespan Respite Grant, and we also do the Family Select Respite Program with the Department of Disability and Special Needs, and looking forward to working with our state workforce development agency on this and getting some workforce out there for respite.
Thank you, Julian. And then finally, last but not least, our esteemed leaders from Wisconsin. And I think it's about time for me to turn this over to Lisa anyway. So Lisa, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and take it from here.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jill. I had myself on mute. I apologize for that. I'm Lisa Schneider, and I'm the Executive Director of Respite Care Association of Wisconsin, and very excited about this project, along with the rest of my staff that's on the call today. I think Rachel, Val, Leslie are on the call, and there'll be times where you meet some of them further on in the agenda, but there's going to be some go-to people for you guys. But this is really a great opportunity for us to work together and to focus on an issue that's probably common for all of us. So we'll say that it's probably going to be a decent amount of work on the front end, but I really have great hopes that it's going to pay off on the back end, and that we're going to have data and evidence to show that this is an evidence-based practice, or at least learn from some of the things that we learn in going through this, so that we can just build upon what we learn through this endeavor. So with that being said, this sheet here has a timeline and proposed next steps going on. So it kind of just gives you an overview that between now and the beginning of before January 1st, we're kind of going to hit the ground and do some deep dives in regards to the training, getting things set up, working on marketing and recruitment campaigns and materials. So today is our kickoff on 10/14. So we're meeting today, and already I think some of these dates were already included in the applications that we sent out when you guys completed them. So hopefully these aren't a surprise to you. But we just know that there's a lot of work to happen, and that's why we sent out the contact sheet to everybody, so you could identify some of the roles. So not everybody is having to attend every single meeting, because it might be a lot for one person to do all of that. So on 10/28, we're going to have some pilot partners get together to begin working on the recruitment and marketing campaign, on establishing timeframes, goals, messaging, and then try to establish something that's on a recurring basis until we are all in agreement that we're ready. We don't need to do this anymore. We can just have some check-in meetings, maybe on a monthly basis as things get going. But in the beginning, we can all collectively decide how quickly that's going to happen. Val is going to be contacting you guys to do some one-on-one technical assistance meetings. So she's going to help you. She's going to be cloning the training, creating the portal for you guys to have access. She's going to be identifying which slides that you need to add some state-specific information. So she will work with you via groups and also with one-on-one time to make sure that you are comfortable with what we're doing going forward. And then we were trying to hopefully have some deadline in place in regards to the pilot partners to have identified and incorporated their state-specific training into the training modules. So by 11/15, that hopefully we're hands off and we're ready to just start working on making things happen. The evaluation and the pilot project really begins on 1/1/22 and through 12/31/22. So that is, we want to hit the ground running come January 1st and get a solid 12 months of activity going on that Kim will then help with some of the data collection, evaluation, and the creation of the replication toolkit. Are there any questions on the timeline? Is this a surprise, or is this good with everybody? All right. So with two of the biggest areas that we're going to be focusing on that will take some of the time will be the marketing and recruitment, and then the talent, the training, and then the access to the third-party platform that holds our training, Talent LMS. So on the marketing and recruitment side, there's going to be we're going to be, those identified as serving on the marketing and recruitment component of implementing the marketing campaign will establish a meeting schedule that works best for the group. Well, it's not finalized. It is our intention to bring in a subject matter expert on recruiting, training, and retaining direct support professionals. I'm very excited about this. This is a consultant that we have worked with here in Wisconsin, and they just specialize in recruiting, training, retaining, and culture with direct support professionals. That is all they focus on. And we're hoping to bring them to you guys to really help us develop a very vital, successful campaign. But on the training and talent LMS side, I kind of explained a little bit earlier that Val will be working with you guys to set up the portal and getting things set up training-wise, your state-specific information, and we'll address any other questions that you guys might have. With that, I believe I turn it over to Val to talk about the Respite Care Provider Training Program.
Awesome, thank you. If you want to go to the next slide, Ms. Lisa, thanks. So we're gonna really just touch on broad topics today. We will have one-on-one meetings with each state where we'll deep dive into the actual platform and how it works and how to get started. But we just want to do a brief overview today as far as what the program looks like. So next slide. So over the last few months, or quite a few months now, 6 or 7 months, we have worked with a professional work group to create respite professional core competencies. And that work group came up with 10 different core competencies, and they're all listed here. I'm not going to read them to you, but you can see them. And what we did is we took the initial base training and really modified it to make sure that we're hitting all of these core competencies throughout the training. And really the function is to make sure that a respite provider that's taking this training really to be a respite care professional, a high quality respite provider, you should be aware and be able to show that you are meeting these core competencies. Next slide. So in the course, there's 10 courses. What is respite, disability basics, client care, medication awareness, safety procedures, caring for challenging moments, wellness, household and respite activities, professional ethics, interpersonal skills, meeting with the caregiver and care recipient, and next steps. And so each of these courses meet different core competencies. And out of these courses, there's 3 that are state specific. The first one, which is what is respite, and that course really goes into really general definition of what respite is, the benefits of respite for the caregiver, the care recipient, and the family members. But then it goes into what is respite in your state. So this is where you would step in and use the templates that I'll provide you to talk about what respite looks like in your specific state. 105, which is safety procedures, that's another state specific. And that one talks about emergency procedures, incident reporting, abuse and neglect. And so that's where the state specific information comes in, is what is in your state, the either the laws around child maltreatment and adult and elder abuse and neglect, incident reporting, if you have different agencies that have to have different reporting guidelines, you would enter that information within that module. And then the last one, the next steps in becoming a respite provider. This is where the marketing comes in as well, is what happens next. So a person just finished these 10 courses. What do I do now? You know, is it log into a registry? Is it contact county ADRC? Do they have to do additional courses or fill out additional paperwork? So that's going to be different for each state. So what's going to happen is you'll get these 3 courses in templates with directions and topics that you could include. And then we'll work together in order to upload them into your system so that you have a customized training portfolio with your state specific courses. So next slide. So the other part of this is, as with the template. So we'll give you the templates. I'll walk through everything with you. And part of that is each state will have their own training URL. And in order to build your training site, you get to customize a lot of the things on it, whether it's like the homepage and information you have, links to your organization or coalition or DHS page to your specific states, colors. So if you have color schemes or logos, all of that can be customized. So after this meeting, I will be sending the training contacts form and a guide on how to customize your URL and your training site, so that when we do meet beginning and mid-November, I'll have your site set up for you. So that will really be that first step, is going through and figuring out what you want it to look like so that I can build it and it will be ready to go. And then during that one-on-one meeting, we'll look at the customization, see if you want any coloring change or you want to move this or this or this. We'll go over the software and how you access it, what the backend looks like, how you can use it, and how you can track learners, all of those types of things. And then we'll also touch on any of the state-specific courses. So you'll also get the templates today. And if there's any questions on that, how to upload that or send it to me, all of those things we'll address in that one-on-one meeting that happens in November. With that, if you can get that customization form to me as soon as possible, by the end of October would be fantastic, so that I have time to build your site. That would be best. Otherwise, it might not be ready, because we are building, 11 different sites from scratch or from this system. And then, of course, I'm available at any point in time in order to help with any technical assistance on the platform. All right, next step, or next slide, which I believe is next step. So I kind of talked about this. It's completing the customization form, and then reviewing your 3 state-specific courses, and then setting up the one-on-one meeting with me. So whoever are the training contacts in your state, I'll send a follow-up email with the templates, with the customization form, and then also a link with my meeting times of when I'm available, so we can get that on our calendars right away. So that was a very brief overview of the training. Any questions?
I have a request. Could you copy the other team members if we're a small team like we are here? When you send these emails, just so we can hold each other accountable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I can definitely send it out to everyone. But we were trying, because we also don't want to overwhelm you. If someone is specifically only working on training, I don't know if they need all the marketing information or if they want that. So I do want to respect everyone's space and time, but I will definitely add you to that list to make sure that you receive that. I get that too. Yeah. Awesome.
Any more questions? All right, well, thanks, Val. I do want to add that the one great thing with Val is not only that she's great, but she's developed our original training with RCW, and then is now the one that is modifying our curriculum to meet the new standards that we've developed. But she's also an expert on the talent LMS side of things as well. And so what's really nice about that is she's going to be available to provide that one-on-one stuff, even though it's a third-party platform. She knows it like the back of her hand. So we're really fortunate to have her on board. So with that, I'm going to move into another direction with the marketing and recruitment campaign, another area that really needs to be focused on. I would say that we can all do a good job in regards to getting access to some funds and connecting caregivers with the funds, but if there's nobody out there to provide the services, none of it matters for the most part. So workforce issues has really become a big part of what we all do as organizations. And so with the marketing and recruitment objectives, these are the objectives that were identified in the grant that was submitted to ACL. So to just refresh everybody, the idea is to develop, test, and scale a respite workforce recruitment, training, and retention program to better meet the needs of the families. The pilot states will jointly create a recruitment marketing campaign. So we're going to work together on identifying how we want our messaging to be. And there will be opportunities for states to, brand the marketing tools that we end up coming up with. But we will also be, again, this is going to be an opportunity for, if we do engage with this consultant and the subject matter expert, that will be, I can't tell you how exciting it is, because he just really walks us through and talks about it's a new way of looking at marketing, and it's a different mindset. And I'm really, we've all probably done a lot of this stuff in the past, and we kind of want to say, let's do a reset. So let's not have we've done that before, it doesn't work, or we're competing with McDonald's folks that want to be employed by McDonald's. That's not who we're really going after. So they really walk you through a process that really helps achieve a very fruitful marketing recruitment campaign. So we will establish targets or goals for our piloting recruitment and marketing campaign and the utilization of the training program. And Kim will be helping with a lot of that. So that is how we're going to establish our measures, or what we're going to measure. And then we'll develop a common report for pilot states to complete and record. And again, that will be coming from Kim, I believe. So we're also going to be looking at outcomes, and in addition to these, of the online pre and post tests, that will be Kim and Val, to develop a common survey to be used by states to assess their training participants to see how they feel about the program, how they liked it. Again, a lot of that is coming from Kim, and but we're going to be tracking a lot of information, so I don't want to scare you with that. But the good thing is our talent LMS collects a lot of that data already. And even with social media, for looking at the effectiveness of some of that, there's already built-in analytics that we can go for. So we're not hopefully adding more onto your plate in regards to what you need to track. There will be some, but we're going to try to utilize existing tools to do some measurements. We're not all tracking on Excel spreadsheets. So then, Jill sent out, and maybe a lot of you got this report from PHI that came out, I think yesterday or the day before. It talked about the workforce displacement and reemployment during the pandemic of direct support professionals. And some of the highlights of what the recommendations that came from that really are simpatico with what we're trying to do here with this national endeavor. And again, from a marketing and recruitment side of things, that we need to develop a tailored recruitment message to effectively reach workers who have been, well, this is talking about this place, but we just need effective recruitment messages, period. We need to identify who we're going after, what specific populations. Again, we need to develop recruitment strategies and employment supports for specific populations within the workforce. So there's different ways of marketing to the different populations. And again, if we get this consultant, they will really help us solidify all of this. And then again, from this PHI report, the recommendation was the need to build robust recruitment pipelines into the long-term care field. And I honestly believe our program, our pilot project, is really going to address a lot of these recommendations. So I just feel that we're on track with what we have proposed to do. So with this particular, I think of the person here in the corner, because I am not a marketing expert. I am not a social media expert. I know nothing about this stuff, but we're going to try to streamline it as best as possible. So what we're hoping to do, if we get this consultant, this is a proposed thing that's still in the works right now. But if we do, we're kind of looking at some core areas that we're going to work on. The first area is going to be in trainings to find new respite workers. We're going to kind of break that McDonald's mindset on how to clone the best respite and learn how to clone the best respite care workers. And the first steps is to build a talent pipeline. I didn't even copy that from before, but that's what they want to do. Effective outreach, and the simple reason that 98% fail. Some outreach and follow-up and next steps, and sessions for questions and or overflow. This is, again, stuff that the consultant will help us if we secure them, that will walk us through that part of the process, in addition to some marketing campaign assets. So they will help with a guide on marketing advertising traps to avoid, a guide on how to effectively promote this initiative with media, assets for your target audience, materials, collateral materials, publications. And we're even talking about, that's another slide, so I'll wait for that. And then just access to a quick videos to help people use and understand the marketing assets. So these are the two core areas that we are looking at this consultant to helping us with. Again, coming up with messaging, and I think of that busting up the mindset of competing with McDonald's, people who are open to being hired by work at McDonald's and flip burgers. And for me, if we're looking at somebody that's going to care for my daughter who's 31 and is so vulnerable, and it's a flip burgers or care for my daughter, I'm not going to market the same to both. I want the person that wants to care for my daughter, so I want to gear my messaging to the person who wants to care for my daughter. So the messaging with what we do is going to be so critical in the success of this project. With that part, I am going to turn it over to Kim for the project evaluation. Uh-oh, did I freeze?
You did, but you're back now.
All right, so is Kim is up? Is Kim frozen?
Nope, I'm good. Hi,
there you go.
everyone. Hi, everyone. So nice to meet all of you. So I'm Kim Whitmore, and I am the evaluation consultant on this project. I am a researcher at Marquette University. And I know that this is something that a lot of people, when they do this work, aren't that excited about the evaluation. This is something that really excites me. And we are proposing a plan for the evaluation that we hope is meaningful to all of you. And it is something that is a bit tailored and for each of the states. So what we will be doing is working with each state to develop your customizable goals around some of our project outcomes. So those are listed here. The first couple outcomes are really around sort of process, bigger picture outcomes, developing this training that aligns with the core competencies that's been done by us as the core team, and then establishing this strategy for recruiting respite providers is another outcome of this project. And then as far as outcomes that will be more directly related to the pilot sites, those are outcomes 3 through 7. So we're really looking to improve the individual knowledge and confidence in providing respite care among individuals who take the training. We also want to increase the number of trained respite providers in each of the pilot site states, increase the number of people who join your registry if applicable, or think about how you're tracking that connection from training to practice opportunities. We are really interested in looking at the number of people who indicate intent to provide respite care, as well as a long-term measure of looking at who takes this training and then is actually actively providing respite care 6 months following taking the training. So those are some of the bigger picture project outcomes that we're going to look to measure throughout this project. But again, we'll be working with you and developing your own individual state's goals that may align with these, or you may have something completely different that you might want to focus on as well. Next slide, please, Lisa. So one of the things to keep in mind is that our evaluation is really a multi-layered approach. So we're looking at doing some evaluation around the individual learner, as well as the agency level or the site. So each of you as a site being the agency. And then we have some overall project evaluation that we want to look at sort of for the big picture of this whole initiative. And I'll talk about each of those in the next couple slides. Next slide, please. So from an individual learner evaluation, as was mentioned previously, we are so fortunate that the Talent LMS system allows us to build in a lot of the surveys that we're going to use for the evaluation. So what that means is you aren't going to be responsible for sending out surveys, promoting surveys, trying to get people to respond, which we know is very difficult and decreases the response rate. So we have this great opportunity to build in these surveys into the course platform. So when learners go in to take the course, they're going to be given an intro survey. They're going to have a pre and post test survey, and as well as a post completion survey. So that intro survey is really going to get us some basic kind of demographic information, who they are, where they're from, age, race, experience with respite care, how they found out about the training, reasons they're taking the training. And then we're going to be asking a series of competence questions that are framed around the core competencies. So we want to know before they take this training, how confident do these individuals feel about their ability to achieve these core competencies and really work as a respite provider. Then we've developed scenario-based questions that align with the course objectives and core competencies for all 10 of the courses. And this is really testing knowledge and ability to apply these core competencies. Again, these will be built into the system, so they'll be prompted to take the pre-tests before they begin taking the second course in the series of courses in the training, and then they'll take a post-test afterwards. And it's about 20 questions that they'll take in the pre and post test, and they're the same questions, and that will allow us to measure differences in the pre-test compared to the post-test. So really a direct measure of how well this training did at improving knowledge and confidence in those areas. And then the last survey that's built into the system is the post-course completion survey. So this again is going to repeat those same confidence questions again, so we can have direct comparison of how confidence levels have changed after taking this course. We're also going to ask them questions about their likelihood of providing respite care in the next 6 months, and if they have any hesitation, any potential barriers they see in their ability to provide respite care after completing this training. And then of course there's built into that some general course evaluation, how satisfied are with the training, are there any suggestions or improvements they have for the training. So again, these are all built into the system, so as people enroll, they're just going to be prompted to take that, and then we have the ability to pull data reports from that and provide that to each state, as well as look at it across the entire pilot project across all the sites. So it's really exciting to have that access to that data. Next slide. So then we also have 2 surveys that we want to send out that will not be attached to the Talent LMS system. The first is a 6-month follow-up survey. So to help us measure that long-term outcome of, do they actually provide respite care? Did this training help support people providing respite care? And did they feel 6 months later that the training actually prepared them well for their real life experience providing respite care? So we'll be running monthly reports and sending out an email survey to people who have completed the training each month, so that it's 6 months after they've completed it. So each month we'll send it out to anyone who pulls up in that system as having taken the course 6 months prior, and they'll be getting an emailed survey from us to help measure these outcomes. Then we think it's also really important to have some understanding of factors why people may have not completed the course. So we're hoping in an ideal world that everyone completes all 10 courses, they complete the training, they love it, they sign up for the registry and they go provide respite care, but we know that's not always the case. So we have the ability to monitor, and if people stop and drop out of the course, so they aren't completing that course, we then will send them a very simple survey and hope that they would respond to that, get some insight into why they didn't complete the course. Is it that they, found another job and decided they didn't need the course, or they didn't find the course useful, or what were those factors that led them to dropping out of the course in essence? So those are 2 separate surveys that we'll be working on sending as a follow-up to individual learners throughout the process. Next slide, please, Lisa. Then from an agency evaluation standpoint, we really have 4 points in time that we want to be able to collect some data from an agency level. And again, I'll be working really closely with individuals from your teams, and it could be your whole team, or if you have an individual or 2 who you want to sort of assign as a liaison for the evaluation work, I'll be the one working with you to help us collect that data at baseline. So before the pilot project launches in January, we'll do some measuring at 6 months, at 12 months, at the end of the pilot, and then 6 months post follow-up. And we'll be using those opportunities to meet, to look at some of those metrics that come out from the individual training, so that you can see across all the people who have taken the trainings, how many have completed, how many people have taken that training, how many people have reported intent to practice as a respite provider, how many people are actually providing respite based on that follow-up survey. So those are some things that we'll go over when we have those connection points at those different data collection points. And then as a part of this, we'll also be focusing, could you go back, sorry, on some of the marketing campaign as well. So as we set your individual goals around that too, if there's anything else, we'll talk about sort of how that recruitment campaign is. And those baseline and 6-month periods, or that 6-month period is going to be really critical for kind of a midway check-in. How is it going? Is there anything we need to adapt? Is there anything that we found worked really well that we want to continue or enhance? Are there things that didn't work well that maybe we want to discontinue in our efforts moving forward? So really looking forward to having those learning opportunities with you, to use that feedback and data that we collect to really continue to drive quality improvement in this process moving forward. Now you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Lisa.
Sure. And Kim, real quick, there was a question that popped up that asks, are you thinking of offering stipends to caregivers for completing the pre or post surveys?
No, we aren't at this time, because again, those pre and post surveys are built into the training program. So they will have to take that pre-survey in order to take the training. And when they complete the training, they'll be prompted to take that post survey before they can get their, sort of completion of that course printed out. So they kind of have to take the pre and post surveys. It's not an option. It's built into the training system. If you as a state want to think about having some sort of stipend for completion of surveys, that is something that we can talk about and you can think about in using some of your own budgeted money for. So if you offer incentives for people actually completing the whole course, that's definitely something that we could look at, and would be interesting if everyone does that, it could be a great measure. But if some states offer a stipend, some don't, we can even use that to kind of compare differences in how much of a motivator that was in recruitment and completion, if there's states that want to offer a stipend for people completing that training course. But that's going to be up to the individual sites to determine their ability and willingness to do that. Great question. So then last level on that evaluation plan is really the overall project evaluation. And for this, we're going to be using a framework called Reaim. I'm not sure if that's familiar to anyone, but I'll go over it very briefly. You don't need to understand it. I'm going to help guide you through this. But Reaim is a really great framework for helping to drive both planning and evaluation of projects, especially when they're projects that are integrated into different settings. And so what this allows us to do is really evaluate some of those bigger picture project elements to know how well the project overall went. Is this something that's sustainable? How was the implementation in your state? What resources did worked well for you as a pilot site in this? How could we improve that? And it really helps us get more information so that as we're developing that replication toolkit for this project, we can then have insights for other states or ongoing efforts of other organizations that may want to implement this recruitment and training program that they can learn from as well. So if you go to the next slide, Lisa, I'll just kind of talk a little bit about what Reaim stands for. So Reaim is the acronym for the words listed here in bold. And really for this part, again, as we're meeting for those evaluation consults at those same time periods, again, at baseline, 6-month, 12-month, and 6-month follow-up. This is more of a qualitative evaluation. So we're going to have some conversations about, are there target populations that you want to reach? So if you're a state that is really struggling to recruit providers in rural communities, we want to think about how you're adapting your recruitment efforts to target that target population. And then at 6 months, we're going to have conversations about how is that working for you? Are you getting the reach that you want with this intervention? So when you see the word intervention, that's this recruitment and training program. The next part of the Reaim framework is effectiveness. So how do you know that this is working? And we've already talked about some of the outcomes for that, but it's working if people are signing up for the training, if they're completing the training, if they're showing intent to practice as respite providers, if they're actually 6 months later working as a respite program. So these are some conversations we'll have around effectiveness. For adoption, this is really about how do I develop organizational support? So, do you have the right team? Do you have the right people, the right resources to be able to be a part of this work? And we'll talk about that on the front end, like what is needed to help make that adoption of this project work in your unique situation in the context of your state, your organization, and monitoring that over time at those different time points. And then for implementation, this is how do you ensure that that implementation is developed properly? So, we have sort of key ingredients of this that we want to make sure each state uses, that you're using the evidence-based marketing recruitment information that you are using the training with the core content and curriculum, but you're going to have some individual adaptations. And so we want to make sure that there's some consistency across how this is being implemented, and so that people are doing it sort of uniformly. So when we evaluate, we can kind of look at that implementation overall. And then the last step of the Reaims framework is the maintenance. So this is really about sustainability, both sustainability of your ability as a state to maintain this program over time, but also for the individuals. Is this training creating a long-lasting impact in their ability to continue to provide respite care? So again, we'll talk at those different evaluation points about how do you set yourself up for success and being able to think about maintenance from the beginning, and then evaluating that as the project goes along. So I do see a question in the chat. What is the time frame for determining someone did not complete the course? Is there a built-in recommendation for start completion time? That's a great question. We have not defined that yet. We wanted to have that conversation with you. Again, this evaluation plan is really our proposal to you as pilot sites. If here's what we think is going to work best, but we're really looking forward to working with you to inform this for what you think makes the most sense in your state. So that, you know, I don't know if Val has some thoughts on that. Val's been running this training in Wisconsin, and I think there's probably a natural cutoff that she says if they're not logged in and completed by such and such time, they're probably not going to complete it. So maybe defer that one to Val.
Yeah, so typically people are completing all 10 courses within 2 weeks. And oftentimes it's within a week or a couple of days. Typically, if they get started, they stay on top of it. The system automatically changes the learner from active to inactive if they don't sign in after 45 days. Because we pay for so many active spots. And so we don't want people sitting there. You can easily turn someone active again, but it just turns them off at that point in time to make sure that we have enough spots for all of the people who are actively learning. And it doesn't erase any data. So even if someone had a medical thing happen, then they could take a break for a couple of months and then be reactivated again once they move forward past that.
Yeah, great. Thank you for adding that, Val. So I think that's my last evaluation slide. So I will pause for any other questions that people have about the project evaluation. Okay, well then I will pass it off to Lisa.
Kim?
Oh, yep.
Hi, it's Lori. I was thinking about the stipend thing with the 6 months post survey. Do you normally go, does it come from the system? Like how does, I know you said they email the link, but what if it goes to their spam? How do you know they got it? Or, you know, that kind of stuff, because that's a long time afterward, especially if they decide not to engage, which we don't want, but I know.
Yeah, I think that's a general challenge with any longitudinal research, right? Like anything
Right.
that's for far time out. And I wouldn't anticipate we'd get 100% of people who take the training completing that 6-month follow-up for a variety of reasons. So, you know, typically in survey research, if you have 20% response rate, so 20% of the people you send a survey to fill it out, that's considered pretty good. We hope to get higher than that. And that may be a place where we think about, you know, states thinking about offering a stipend at that stage. Maybe, you know, we haven't built in a stipend into our project budget, but that's something we can also look at if we feel like it would be beneficial. And we'll know that earlier on because those are going to be sent out on a rolling monthly basis. So starting after 6 months. So it's, you know, 6 months in, every month we're going to be sending those out to the people who've completed it 6 months prior to that date. So if we're starting to see like nobody at all is filling out those 6-month follow-up surveys, then that's a point for us to look at some quality improvement and rethinking, like, do we need to offer an incentive? Is there something else we can do? As far as your question of where those emails will come from, we haven't sorted that out yet, if it would come from our larger project team or the individual states.
Well, that's fine.
Or, you know, so we'll figure that out yet, whatever, you know, what might make sense. I'm thinking it might make more sense for the states to be the one to actually send those out so they get some messaging from the state agencies. and it would be more personalized, that they'll recognize like the Respite Coalition in their state more than they'd recognize, you know, our project email, for example. But yeah, great questions.
And the systems just sound so fancy. I thought for all I knew, it did that too.
Yeah, Val does the system too. Val knows so much more about the system than I do. She's taught me a lot about the system. Can we send emails from the Talent LMS?
You can, yes, but because the participants go inactive after 45 days, it only sends emails to active participants. So I would assume after 6 months, they would not still be active in the system.
Yeah.
Because they're busy providing respite. They don't have time.
Right.
Yes, that's the hope. Yeah, we hope the reason people don't do it is because they're too busy providing respite. That's a great positive on that, Lori. We can include that in our report of reasons for low response rate on the 6-month follow-up. It's because they're all too busy providing respite care. Let's hope.
That I can't wait.
Wonderful. And I just want to, I'll close, and I'm again always happy to answer questions. This is really a high level overview for this. You know, all the information you're getting today is high level overview, and you're going to get a lot more details of what this looks like. And I just want to assure people that it's not going to be painful. This is going to be fun. Even if you know, are scared of data and evaluation, know that that's my role, and I'm here to really just make this work for each of your pilot site states and partners. And in the end, you're going to have some really great data to inform your work, but also that's going to feed up into this larger project. So really excited to be a part of this and looking forward to working with all of you.
That was so good, Kim. Thanks. All right, project logistics. So these are just some of the stuff that we got to deal with. Contracts, fun, right? We were hoping that in order for us to provide you with your stipend to be part of this grant or your grant award, that we will do that once we have the signed contract in place. So pretty much is once we get going, when I send you the contracts, I'm still waiting for, I think, one more state to send me their contact information, but I'll be kicking out these contracts to each of you probably tomorrow, so you can get the ball rolling with that. And then once those contracts come back signed and they're fully executed, we will release the funds. In regards to communications, we do want to find out, and maybe we'll do this via a poll. We don't have to decide right now, but I'll talk with the team to find out what we're going to send out. But we want to find a way that is the best way for all of us to communicate with one another. And Slack was a new program that somebody mentioned. I had to look it up, but you know, we're looking at free resources that are going to help us better communicate with one another, as opposed to a reply all type email. But it also factors in what your agency allows you to have access to. I know some state agencies or state departments have firewalls or are forbidden to use certain applications. And so we'll have to figure out what is going to work best for us, whether it's Slack or Facebook, a Facebook group, or using Microsoft Teams. We also want to have a way of collecting central storage of documents. So again, this is probably going to be another agency specific, and we're going to have to see what works for everybody. Can you use or have access to Google Drive? Can you use Box? Can you use Dropbox? So that we're all kind of having access to, especially if we're going to be using the marketing materials or, you know, surveys and stuff. We want it to be held somewhere that you have access to it, so that it's not, oh, Kim, can you email me this? Or Lisa, can you email me that? You're going to have access to that. And then as for, this is something that Kim turned me on to that we use here at RCAW for our staff meetings. And it's called Trello, but we're going to find something for when we do have our marketing team, our training team, and probably our evaluation team, which was one of the notes I made here, that if something pops up, we use Trello to identify placeholders for our next agenda for when we're going to meet. And I can provide some screenshots and we send out the poll to find out, but it's a great way of plugging something in that you don't have to remember. It's just a placeholder so that we use that Trello to build our next meeting's agenda. So that's one example. We can, if you have other suggestions as to what works best for your organizations, let me know, but we're looking at a free version. Again, we're looking for free, a lot of things, but it's a great way, again, to just, one, see if anybody else is having any issues or similar questions, but two, it's a placeholder so that if you're like me, you got to get it out of here somewhere else, and then you can focus again. And then we're also looking at some free marketing tools, applications. For some of you, we use Canva all the time. We use the free version of it. This is a really great tool that pre-builds into it the sizing and the look for Facebook, Instagram, emails, flyers, brochures, and we use it all the time. I know Jill uses Adobe Spark, and she said there's a free version of that. There's something called Buffer. So again, maybe when we shoot out this tool to collect some of this feedback from you guys as to what works best, think about what works best. Is it free, and is it something that people can universally use? That it's not, a state department is not going to be able to use, because if one is left out, then that's not going to be helping us as a team. Are there any questions on this? I know there's it's just a lot of housekeeping related stuff. How we're going to connect, how we're going to communicate. We can include information about social media management, like later, to help with marketing. Yep. So anyway, there is that information. And then when I talked at the very beginning about our meetings, I think that we want to have meetings as a group as a whole, so we're kind of on the same page when it comes to high level overall discussions. But then we're going to have some deep dives with the training teams, with the marketing team, and now I think I should add on there, Kim, an evaluation development team, because if you're going to be wanting to work with some key folks as opposed to everyone, I might send out something to have you guys. I know when you did your contact sheets, you identified if it was training, recruitment, marketing, or contract signer. I should have had an evaluation team as well. So we'll try to collect that. So again, I think in this poll that I'm now starting to think of based on some of the things that feedback that I want to get from you guys, we want the full team to meet like once a month, or is there a different frequency? The training team, I think we're gonna, Val talked about meeting once a month, because once she does her one-on-ones in the initial part of things, you guys are gonna be pretty much in a group, because it's pretty automated, but there may be some questions. So you may wanna meet one time a month, or Val has said that she's ready to meet with any of you guys on a one-on-one on an as-needed basis. And then for the marketing team, we're currently looking at 2 times a month, or possibly other frequency, depending on how things are gelling with what we're wanting to do, because the marketing side of it is, the training is wonderful, but if we can't get people to the training, it's not going to be so wonderful. So our efforts, our messaging, and our tools are really going to be important in this. And so we want to be successful with this. And so we will find out what works for everybody to in establishing a meeting schedule. The other things I heard from you guys, and I think what I want to collect from you is, I don't know which of you states have a registry, which of you states have done some training in the past, which of your states do some matching. I mean, I know we collected some of that information in the applications, but I think I'm going to just do like a matrix of some sort. And I also don't, this is probably a stupid question, there are such things, but does every state have ADRCs, or Aging and Disability Resource Centers? Do you have long-term care waivers that allow for direct hire by consumers? We have that here in Wisconsin. So there's just some little logistic stuff that I want to collect from you guys. And then just also about analytics. Are you guys already collecting analytics? Are you using Google Analytics? Are you using Facebook? I just want to hear or get a feel for what you're using, and what you and how you're using it. Are there any other discussion items or any other questions that you guys might have that you want to go over today? We do have 30 minutes. I know it's already been an hour's worth of your time, but we just threw a lot at you. So any questions, feedback, other discussion?
Lisa, this is Kim. I just wanted to add, for people who may be like overwhelmed by that meeting slide, because it kind of overwhelms me a little bit, know that the intensity of this project is between now and January. This is a big time to get all this stuff prepped and ready to go. And once this training launches in January, it is ideally a little smooth sailing of this, and there's just going to be a few check-in points. So I think that's just really important perspective to keep in mind, that it's going to be an intense period between now and the end of the year. But then after that, I think we'll be able to scale back to sort of once a month kind of check-in meetings and seeing how things go. So I just don't want people to feel like super overwhelmed and like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? So if others are feeling that way, because it's a lot of different teams and meetings, and for smaller agencies, it might be everybody on all the teams. And so we don't want you to think, oh my gosh, we're going to need a full-time job to be a part of this project. So I just wanted to state that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So again, any questions, feel free to holler, shoot something in the chat box. But as for next steps, I think we've already talked about some that I do want to send out some kind of poll or feedback to just get an idea of where the states are at with the registry training, matching. Do you have ADRCs? Does your long-term waiver offer direct hires by consumers? We even have a lot of people here in Wisconsin now asking about our training, so that for persons with disabilities who want to go through our training and become respite care providers themselves, that's something that we're going to be exploring, presenting at an upcoming self-determination conference. And sadly, it's something I didn't even think of. And I don't know, there's just a lot of cool things that are out there. So when, great minds come together, super cool things happen.
Lisa, this is Jill. We actually had that question on our volunteer and faith-based collaborative yesterday. Have we thought about using people with disabilities as respite volunteers?
Yeah, yes. And it's certainly, absolutely.
You could actually use this training.
Right.
Probably not in its current form, but it's certainly something to think about.
Definitely.
It wasn't a disability scoops, or it was just an article about that.
Really?
Unfortunately, hi, this is Lori. I don't remember where I saw it, but there was, I'll try to find it, but don't hold me accountable.
I know where to find you, Lori.
You know.
We do have some marketing strategies in our volunteer respite manual on how to recruit people with disabilities to be volunteers. So we have a little bit of information in there that maybe we could draw on if that's a recruitment target that people might want to think about.
Yep, absolutely. And that will happen in those discussions. So in regards to next steps, we will be contacting the groups or the folks that have identified being on what groups, in addition to the evaluation team. So the folks that were interested in marketing and recruitment, that's going to kick off right away. Same thing with, I think Val identified that she's going to start setting up meetings basically tomorrow. So setting up meetings, I don't know if I can, I'd have to escape out of here to start typing this out. I'll just take the notes. So we'll send out a poll. And then with the, so with the marketing group, we'll send out something about establishing, I think our first meeting will be on October 28th. And then that was earlier on in the presentation. So I know it's not here in front of us, but so we'll do a recap with this along with, I'm sorry, I'm thinking in my head right here. Is there anything else that you guys want from us? Because I'm identifying things that we're wanting from you right now. So is there anything you want from us in order to keep moving forward with great confidence? All right.
So this is Nadine from Oklahoma. Anytime you can send us calendar invites to get our calendars to keep them free, because they do get booked up quickly. So if you can go ahead and send out calendar invites for meeting invites for the upcoming meetings, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So we will do that. We'll click some information, get our team meeting set up for the various focuses evaluation, marketing, and training. Try to establish a master calendar, but then we will also collect information from you in regards to what communication tool works, how you can store information and access common information. So all of that will be in some document that will come to you, so we can collect that, so we can find out the best way to make this an efficient operation for everybody. So with that, again, we can have more discussion after this, but here is all of our contact information, at least with kind of the project leads at this level. Again, Val, I think at the very beginning, you can kind of see who's going to play what roles. So Kim is evaluation, Val is training, Rachel and I will be marketing and recruitment. Tyler will be with evaluation. Jill is just the boss, so she's everything. So feel free to ask us any questions that you guys might have. And we also want to do a huge shout out again to ACL for their support with this project. This was something that, you know, it's just a universal need across the states, and to be able to work on this together collaboratively is really, I'm so excited about this. It's just never been done before. So I have no doubt that we're going to learn a lot and end up with a really great project in the end. So thank you all so very much. I know it's been a lot. I know we dumped a lot of information on you, but I promise that it will get smooth. It will straighten out, and it'll be very straightforward for everybody. So, are there any other questions?
Yeah, Lisa, this is Kathy in South Carolina. When you send out the survey to these states, and I heard somebody mention this earlier, one of our hesitancies in creating a registry has always been the liability issue. So anybody that's already operating a registry, if they have liability statements or anything else that they've developed, if they could share that with the rest of us, that would be very helpful.
That's a great question.
Our CAW has disclaimer and liability verbiage that we worked with an attorney to cover ourselves, and we're happy to share it.
That would be great. Thank you.
And I just want to point out, Kathy, I think that is an excellent example of a secondary benefit of this project, right? It's this learning community around this, and having the ability to connect, to borrow, to learn lessons from and with each other is going to be something that is an unintended good consequence of this work. So we've already identified one aspect. So as we think about like this project outcomes, it's more than just, I think, testing this really great training that aligns with these new core competencies and finding better ways to recruit respite providers. It's all that other shared learning and connections that we're hoping to spark across states, and really excited for that learning as well.
I totally agree, Kim, for sure.
Absolutely. That was a great question.
I would remind folks too that because this liability concern is related to those of you who run voucher respite programs as well, we have on our website a lot of shared tools that grantees have shared about liability language. We collected recent information in our voucher survey. I think that has some sample language as well. So please feel free to make use of any of the tools that we have on the Arch page related to some of these topics as well.
And if you guys come up with any questions in the meantime, or something else that you want to know from all of the other states, shoot me an email and I'll include it on the master document so we can collect it all and just have this nice matrix of just where things are at with states. Any other questions? All right, well, that was painful for me because I get extremely nervous doing this, but thank you all very much for your time. And again, from the excitement standpoint, I'm just at the right place at the right time. And I'm so lucky to be able to work with such a great team and to work with all of you guys. Lori, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. We're wrapping up, right?
Yes.
So I'm sorry to hold you, and I don't know if Wendy, you want to say something, but for those who don't know me, my name is Lori Stahlbaum. I'm the Federal Project Officer at the Administration for Community Living for the Lifespan Respite Program. And I just want to, I'm very excited to attend. I'm sorry I was late. I have a very old dog who takes a very long time to get in the 2 steps up the side door. So patience is a virtue, and we just respect people, yeah, AKA pets, for who they are. I just want, I'm super thrilled. We have so many sites in this project. I really think this was a great kickoff meeting. My hat's off to everyone who's worked so hard to bring it to this point. And I don't know that I'll be able to attend all your meetings, but I sure wanted to attend this one and just introduce myself and thank you all for your applications and the time you're about to put in. We're really hoping to learn some great things from all of you. You know, and I always say good, bad, or in the middle. It's all good information, because whatever we learn will be helpful. So, you know, I say to my son, there are no wrong answers. He's like, yes, there are. It's like, no, not really, because we learn from everything. So anyway, I'm me. Thank you very much for including me, and thank you all for this work you're about to undertake with RCAW and Nashby and Arch and everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Wendy, did you want to say anything?
Sure, I'll just echo everything that Lori said. I'm thrilled she jumped in and that I get to follow. I'm Wendy Fox-Grage. I work with Nashby, and I'm also thrilled to be on this project and to learn from all of you, quite honestly. It is so exciting. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all you're doing. Thanks to the team for putting this together, and I'm excited about that's kickoff project.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else, Julie? You want to tie anything up, or are we ready to close her down?
I just add my thanks to Lori at ACL for supporting this initiative, especially not only with funding, but with her passion for this topic. So thank you, Lori. And the same to you, Wendy. We have so much expertise through Wendy Fox-Grage at Nashby, and we're so grateful to have her advising us on this project too. And to Kim, who's the superior evaluator, and Lisa and Val and Rachel at Respite Care Association of Wisconsin. We couldn't have picked a better team to do all of this work, and all of you. And I'm so glad that I know so many of you on the pilot sites, and that we're going to continue to work together on this project. So thank you all so much.
Wonderful. Thanks, you guys. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.